Welcome to Whispering African Tales, where the winds of time carry the wisdom of our ancestors. Here, we journey through African spirituality, history, and books of sacred memory, exploring the philosophies, stories, and visions that shaped our continent's soul. Each whisper, each page, each chapter is a step back into the river of our origins, not to worship the past, but to understand the spirit that still breathes within us. So find your quiet space, open your heart, and let us walk together into another story from the Spirit Library, where Africa remembers itself. Preface and Introduction. No people are without religion. Religion is everywhere and always. These words frame Mbiti's mission. He writes as both scholar and believer, a Kenyan theologian trained in Western universities but rooted in African soil. His goal is clarity, justice, and reclamation, to show that African religion is not a collection of superstitions, but a coherent and profound way of understanding life. The study of African religion, he says, must begin from the inside, from the experience of African peoples themselves. Mbiti cautions against two errors. First, the colonial era dismissal that branded African religion as paganism. Second, the romantic idealization that strips it of reality. His task is balance, description without distortion. He also writes for Africans who have grown distant from their roots, encouraging them to see value in ancestral wisdom. The book, he says, belongs to all who wish to know how the African sees his world, visible and invincible, temporal and eternal. Mbiti's method is comparative. He gathers examples from hundreds of ethnic groups, from the Zulu to the Yoruba, the Kikuyu to the Dinka, finding recurring patterns without erasing difference. Each chapter moves from description to reflection, showing how African religion organizes moral, social, and spiritual life. Religion permeates African life so completely, he writes, that it is not easy to separate it from culture, politics, or economics. To be human in Africa is to be religious in the broadest sense. Thus begins the journey, a patient unfolding of Africa's spiritual landscape. Chapter 1: The African Heritage. Mbiti begins where all understanding must, with heritage. Religion, he insists, grows from the total environment, the history, geography, art, language, and social institutions of the people. Africa is ancient beyond imagining. It has known hunter-gatherers who read the sky for signs, farmers who sang to the rain, empires that raised bronze and stone in honor of gods and ancestors. To grasp African religion, we must see this continuity, the way belief has always intertwined with survival and celebration. Mbiti paints heritage as living memory, not museum dusts. The continent's countless ethnic groups, more than 1,000 languages, carry related ideas, reverence for ancestors, sacred regard for nature, and moral responsibility within community. These are the soil from which religion springs. He identifies three essential dimensions of heritage: richness, the variety of civilizations from Nile Valley kingdoms to forest villages, each shaping unique expressions of faith; spread, ideas and rituals traveling along trade routes, blending through marriage, migration, and exchange; and finally, nature, heritage that is oral, practical, and communal rather than textual or individual. The African heritage, Mbiti says, is not kept in libraries, but in living hearts. Religion is inseparable from this heritage. Art is theology in color. Dance is prayer in motion. Proverbs compress ethics. Folktales encode metaphysics. Even the landscape participates. Rivers, trees, mountains serve as reminders of sacred power. Mbiti warns against viewing African religion as frozen in time. It evolves, responding to new realities, absorbing contact with Islam, Christianity, and even modern life. Yet its roots remain deep, nourished by memory and meaning, older than written history. Heritage is the seedbed of faith. To know African religion, one must feel the pulse of the continent, its memory, music, and moral texture. Chapter 2. What is African religion? Having established the background, Mbiti defines his subject. African religion, he writes, is the product of African peoples, developed through their experiences and expressed in their way of life. Unlike scriptural religions that draw authority from a written revelation, African religion lives in oral transmission. Its scriptures are the memories of elders. Its temples are families and fields. Its priests are mothers, fathers, and community custodians. Mbiti refuses reduction to a single creed. Each people has its own expressions, yet shared themes bind them: belief in a supreme being, reverence for ancestors, recognition of spiritual forces, and moral responsibility to the community. He contrasts this with Western expectations. There is no missionary organization, no proselytizing, no founder. Religion is inherited by birth, woven into identity. To be born African, he says, is to be born into a religious world. Mbiti also clarifies common misunderstandings. African religion is not idol worship. Images serve as focal points for unseen powers. It is not polytheism in the chaotic sense, but a layered monotheism, one supreme being working through divinities, spirits, and ancestors. He highlights communal ownership of belief. Faith is not a private affair of conscience. It is social cement. Rituals mark every stage of life: birth, initiation, marriage, death, teaching values and obligations. Ethics flow from religion: truthfulness, hospitality, respect for elders, care for the poor. Mbiti also stresses adaptability. Religion absorbs change without losing essence. Contact with new ideas leads to reinterpretation rather than erasure. Thus, African religion remains dynamic, rooted, yet responsive. African religion, Mbiti concludes chapter 2, belongs to the people themselves. It is carried in their blood and breath. It is the rhythm beneath daily existence, not a separate compartment of life, but its pulse. These opening sections of Mbiti's work lay the foundation: religion as heritage, as lived reality, and as community. Before doctrines or definitions, there is belonging. In Africa, belief is not an idea one holds, but a world one inhabits. You've been listening to Whispering African Tales, a space where we remember, question, and reconnect. If this story or reflection touched something within you, subscribe, share, and keep the fire of understanding alive. Here, we walk with open minds, not to impose belief, but to seek truth, to honor wisdom, and to keep the voices of our ancestors heard in every generation. Until next time, may your path be guided by light, your spirit be at peace, and may the whispers of Africa continue to speak through you.